قیام مردم ایران. تظاهرات همبستگی در واشنگتن در مقابل کاخ سفید.
مگر فرا رسید
Thank you. And thank you for caring enough about the future, not just of yourselves and your families, but of freedom and humanity across the world to stand out here in this bitter cold. It is a small sacrifice to make compared to that being made by millions of women and men in Iran as we speak. But it must be made in order for this regime to understand that it is not just those protesting in the streets of Iran, but freedom-loving men and women across the world who join to determine that we shall have the right to live as we choose democratically, that we will not put up with imprisonment and torture and murder in the name of stifling free will, but that we stand united so that people, as is their fundamental right, can exercise self-determination. It is my sincerest hope that America can engage in meaningful dialogue with the people of Iran, but not with this regime. We must identify evil for what it is, and we must encourage good where we find it. And ladies and gentlemen, good is standing here today. Good is rallying across Iran today.
The game is now over! Reformist hardliner, the game is now over! Reformist hardliner, the game is now over!
So we'll...
Reformist hardliner, the game is now over! Democracy, freedom, regime change in Iran! Democracy, freedom, regime change in Iran! Democracy, freedom, regime change in Iran!
I will conclude by sending a message to three entities. First, to the world community. It is time to make a decision, and our allies cannot turn a blind eye as their corporate entities continue to do business via middlemen and brokers with the IRGC, which is the pole that props up this evil regime. It is time for the world community to make a decision. You can do business with the United States, or you can do business with the IRGC. To the Iranian people, this is not 1988. This is not 2009. This is 2018, and you have my and our unwavering support. Finally, a message to the Iranian regime, and I want to be crystal clear. This is not 1988. This is not 2009. This is 2018. This nation will not stand by idly as the Quds and the IRGC shoot their brothers and sisters in the streets of Iran. These sanctions won't be looked upon with disdain by nations who put profit ahead of humanity. And you may be able to repress people for a period of time, but history tells us that freedom and humanity will always win. We stand united with freedom for Iran.
Hey, hey, hey!
let me first of all thank all of you who came from all over the country to be here to express your solidarity with the people of Iran who are risking prison, risking death, doing what they can to communicate to the world that this is a dictatorship that does not represent the people of Iran, that survives only by being willing to kill and imprison dissidents, and which has again and again and again been faced with the people of Iran trying to break free. There's a huge difference. I don't know how many of you are aware of this, but when 30,000 people were killed in 1988, the dictatorship was able to seal off the information for 13 years. Today, in a different world, every single day, reports are coming out, people are learning things. You just saw the president of France reject the Iranian dictatorship when it asked him to restrict the activities of Maryam Rajavi, and he said no. France recognizes the right of political dissent and will not tolerate terrorism, and I think it was a real black eye for the dictatorship, and tells you how frightened they are that they would appeal to the president of France. What you're seeing today is a very frightened dictatorship which is corrupt, which is out of touch, and which, despite the last administration having given it billions and billions of dollars, has so wasted that money on adventures outside Iran, in Syria, in Iraq, in Yemen, in Gaza, in South Lebanon, that the people of Iran are sick and tired of a corrupt dictatorship which doesn't look out for the people of Iran. It looks out for its own ideological interest and its own desire to dominate the region. We have already seen more action by President Trump and this administration in the last week than we saw in the 8 years as President Obama tried to appease the dictatorship and tried to get a deal. And let me say to everybody in Europe and everybody in the American elite who are worried about the nuclear deal and whether or not this is going to endanger the nuclear deal, the only long-term way to deal with the threat of an Iranian dictatorship with nuclear weapons is to end the dictatorship. There is no deal that will work. Let me ask all of you, you can make a difference that's practical. Next week, every one of you should contact your congressman and your 2 senators and encourage them to hold hearings on what happened in 1988, because even today, most Americans don't realize how vicious this dictatorship is, how many people it has killed. Ask them to adopt strong resolutions supporting what the administration is doing, and ask them to insist that we use American assets to reestablish internet and telephone communications across all of Iran so that the people of Iran can communicate with each other no matter what the dictatorship tries to do. We have the technical means to do it. So I just want to remind each of you, you have the opportunity, which people in Iran don't have right now. You have the opportunity to reach out to your news media, to reach out to your congressmen, to reach out to your senators, to build a wave of support so that the United States and its allies, and if you'll notice, one by one the European countries are beginning to have to say things, beginning to have to bring pressure to bear. Many of them are afraid to, many of them don't want to, but they simply can't stand in the face of this kind of a dictatorship, in the face of it killing its own people, in the face of it imprisoning over 3,000 people. They simply can't stand and do nothing. So with your help and you reaching out to the Congress, I will do all I can to make sure that we communicate the United States has the ability to dramatically help the people of Iran liberate themselves. We should do all we can to help the people of Iran communicate. We can win this. It is difficult. I have enormous respect for the people who every single day are risking their lives by standing up for freedom in Iran. And I think all of us owe them a debt of gratitude for their courage and their persistence and their commitment. And I join with you in encouraging the administration to continue to pressure in the United Nations, to continue to pressure with our assets to help the people of Iran help themselves, and to continue to make clear through sanctions that we will not tolerate the survival of the Revolutionary Guard. We will not tolerate the kind of things this dictatorship is doing, and that replacing the dictatorship is the only long-term safe way to make sure that we have solved the threat of a nuclear dictatorship that would be totally unreliable and totally dangerous. Thank you, and keep working. Thank you very, very much.